This is block 3 from topic 4. It's page 109 in your textbook. And the first thing we're going to look at is our little pregame pep talk here. Have you ever heard someone say, I agree 100%, or she gave 120% at practice, or 110% at practice, or she tried? Is it possible for a percent to be over 100 though?
Yes.
Yes, it could be out of 200.
Okay?
It's still equal
Okay.
to 100%.
Let me word it in this way then. Let's say you were born 10 pounds. Big baby, but you were born 10 pounds. And you went for a checkup when you were like 3 or 4, and the doctor said that he increased his body weight by 300%. Does that now seem possible for a percent to be over 100?
Yes.
So if he was 10 pounds, 10 pounds was his 100% when he was born, right? Then if he's increasing 300% of his body weight, he's at a grand total of 400% of body weight. Well, what would 300% of 10 be? 30. So what would his body weight be? 40 pounds is 400%. So can I have percents larger than 100?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is looking at percents larger than 100. So the first thing we're going to look at is we're looking back at Haley and her basketball skills. And it says Haley's coach is impressed with the improvement in her scoring over the past month. She went from scoring 12 points per game last month to 18 points per game this month. Coach went up to her and said, Haley, you made 100% improvement in your average points per game this month. Was Coach correct in that comment, or was he just exaggerating?
He was exaggerating. 80%.
Okay. 80%?
It was 60. It was like 40.
Okay. That's what we're going to look at. 1A said if Haley had increased her average points per game by 100%, how many points per game would she be scoring this month?
24.
So, we're going to look at that. Right here on my board, I'm at 0% increase. That's why it's 12 and 12. If I move this slider over, my percent increase is going to rise. Is my points going to go up or down?
Up.
All right, so if I move this, the points are increasing. What did Coach say she was increasing? 100%. If she increased 100%, how many points would she have scored this month?
24.
24. Was that what the coach, was that actually what Haley did?
No.
No. So for 1A, we need to write 100% increase would mean her scoring doubled 12 to 24. That's 1A. 100% increase would mean her scoring doubled 12 to 24. 100% increase would mean that her scoring average doubled, going from 12 to 24. So now we know for sure Coach was wrong. He was exaggerating. B says, if she had increased her average points per game by only 25%, how many points per game would she be scoring this month? So we're going to look at B. She's at 0% increase right now. That's why it says 12. She scored the same. She leveled out. What do I need? What percent increase do I need to look at? 25. So if I scroll this to 25, how many points is she scoring this month? 15. They're getting this by multiplying. Where'd they get 1/4 from? 25% is the same as 1/4. And they found that it's 3 points is what she's adding to her original, which was 12, to get 15 points. So this writing over here is what you're writing for B. We had to see how many points she was increasing. She increased 3 points, added that to 12, and she was at 15 points. Okay, 1C says, by how many points did Haley actually increase her average this month? So looking at that scoreboard on your page, how much did she increase?
40%.
How many points?
6.
I don't even see a 40. 3. How many points did she increase?
6.
6. Okay, that is the answer for C, is 6. D, we want to find the percent increase, what Coach should have said. Percent increase can be found by taking the amount of change and divide it by the original amount. What was the amount of change between the 2 points?
6.
6. And what was the original amount? 12. And when I do 6 divided by 12, I get what? 0.5. I need that as a percent. How do I write 0.5 as a percent?
50%.
How did you get that?
Because 0.5 is half of 1. And half of 1, 100 times 0.5 equals 50.
100 times 0.5 equals 50, or I could have bounced my decimal places back. How many? 2. That's what I get. And so what percent do I get here? 50%. And this is what we're writing for D here. D have written. Okay, we need one sticky note to put on this page. And this sticky note is going to say to find percent increase or decrease is the amount of change divided by the original amount. To find percent increase or decrease. Amount of change divided by original amount. That's what goes on your sticky note on top of problem 1 somewhere.
No.
Okay, we're looking at Question 2 now. Question 2A says that last week Haley scored 15 points. Haley increased her points 20% during her game this week compared to last week. How many points did she score this week? Okay, well, we just wrote a sticky note that said to find percent increase or decrease. This problem, does it have a percent? Is there a percent in this problem?
Yes.
So do I need to find a percent increase or decrease in this problem? No, it's already given. So that sticky note is for a different type problem, one like we just did. Okay, I do see a percentage, and we learned 2 new words today. Percent increase and percent decrease. Looking at this problem, is it going to be an example of increase or decrease? What's telling you increase?
The word increase.
The word increase. So I'm going to underline increase 20%. So I know that this is a percent increase of 20%. Stop. I'm going to use a visual to help me understand the problem. A percent bar. And I'm going to call this bar last week. And what did she score last week? 15 points. And that was 100% of what she scored last week. Do you agree?
Yes.
100% of what she scored last week. She had a 20% increase. So am I adding to this bar or taking away from the bar? I'm adding 20% to this bar. So what percentage would I be at? 120%. I don't know how many points she scored. That's what I'm having to figure out. Well, for problem A, I'm going to show you kind of the mental math method. Then the other problems, I'm going to show you the exact mathematical way. That way, you can choose whatever method you want to use. But I know mentally what percentages are easy to figure out. We learned last week.
Tens.
Tens. Well, what is 10% of 15? 1.5. We moved the decimal over. How many 10% is in 20?
2.
So I have 2 sets of 1.5. Well, what is 15 plus, what is 2 sets of 1.5?
3.
So 15 plus 3, how many points did she score?
18.
18 points this week. That is A. Okay. Shh. B. Marco scored 40% more points this week than last. This week he scored 28 points. How many did he score last week? So percent increase or decrease?
Decrease.
What's my key word?
More.
More. And you say more is a decrease word?
It's an increase.
It
That's
doesn't-
it depends how it is. Because like when it says how many more was something something and something something. That's
More or less.
then.
More is increase, so this is going to be a percent increase. So again, I'm going to visualize with my bar. This is last week. Last week had 100% of what he scored. Do I know how many he scored last week? That says this week.
Oh,
No, you're not.
I don't know the points. That's what I'm looking for. What can I call that if I don't know a number in math? A variable, so I can call it X. This week you have a 40% more or increase. So am I adding or subtracting to my bar? Adding 40% more to my bar. What percentage am I at? 140%. Do I know how many points? And this is this week, right?
Yes.
Do I know how many points he scored this week? 28. Okay. Well, last week we talked about part over whole. And we did equals percent over 100. But I can't really use that in this case because we're going over 100. So we're just going to use part over whole. Looking at the X and the 28, is X going to be a number larger or smaller than 28? Smaller. So is X going to be the part or the whole? X is going to be the part. Is 28 the whole or the part? The whole. Now percent-wise, is 100 the part or whole? The part. And what is the whole? 140. Now I have a proportion set up that I can solve. Multiply, divide, 28 times 100 divided by 140. Someone with calculator.
280.
Divided by 140 is 20. 20 points. So how many points did he score last week? 20 points. That's the mathematical way, not in our head. Stop. Whoever's talking, I don't care who it is. C says David is the top scorer on his team. His points decreased 30% from last week. This week he scored 14 points. How many did he score last week? Is this a percent increase or decrease?
Decrease.
What's telling you?
Because it says his points decreased 30%.
It says decrease 30%. Okay? So again, I'm going to visualize with a percent bar. And he started with 100% last week. And he decreased 30%. So where is he at? 70%. He went down 30%. Am I adding or taking away from my bar? Taking away from my bar. He went down. Said this week he had 14 points. The 100% was last week. 70% is this week. So the 14 should go underneath the 70. So I'm looking for how many points he scored last week. Well, is that X going to be larger or smaller than 14?
Larger.
Obviously, it's got to be larger. So is X going to be my part or my whole? My whole. And 14 would be my part. Okay. 70 and 100. What is my part? 70, and then 100 would be my whole. Now I have a proportion to solve. 14 times 100 divided by 70. And how many points did he score last week? 20 points.
Wait, what do? You do 100 divided by 14?
100 times 14 divided by 7.
Are we gonna have a calculator?
Brady, quit turning around talking to him. Okay, that was 2C. 3, 4, and 5 is reviewing all that information. So we're going to practice that together. Okay. So we have a chart here. It says last month, this month, and percent increase. So are we looking at any percent decrease on this chart? No. Okay. Well, I need somewhere to do some scratch work. So look, you're looking at number 3 with me. I can't project it because I have to write somewhere. Last month and this month, we have a percent increase. Last month was 10. We don't know this month. Is it going to be larger or smaller than 10? Larger. So is 10 going to be the part or the whole? The part. I don't know the whole. Well, the percent increase was 50%. We started at 100. We increased it 50%.
It was asking me to answer one.
150.
Good
That
thing I
almost hit
did.
me in the head.
No, I'm doing this too.
I ate Smith.
You almost were. You almost were. This.
So 50% has been increased from that 100%. So what is 100% plus 50?
150%.
Is that going to be my whole or my part?
Your whole.
My whole. My part was that 100%. I use this to solve. 10 times 150 divided by 100. And I am at what? How many points?
I think it's 15.
Well, that one probably could have been done common sense wise in our head. 50% of 10 is 5. If I'm increasing by 5, I'm at 15. So, moving that answer over. The next question, we're looking for a percent increase. We wrote a sticky note that said if you're ever looking for a percent increase. What did the sticky note say? We just wrote. Amount of change over original. What is the difference between 14 and 18? 4. What is the original number? 14. When I divide that, I get. I have some people going ahead and not paying attention. I would hate to call you by name and send this video to someone. 4 divided by 14 is what?
0.09.
That? Something like that? But it was asking for a percent. How do I change that to a percent?
So 100.
Times 100 or
One,
bounce
two.
back twice and I'm at 28.57. That's not one of my options. What is it?
Round.
I have to round. And it would be 28.6. The last one in this chart says last month they made 8. This month we don't know, but they had a 300% increase. So is it this number going to be larger than 8 or smaller? Larger than 8. So is 8 my part or my whole? Part. I don't know my whole. It's increasing 300% from 100. So what's my whole percentage?
300. 400.
400.
Wait,
Three- 300 increased. We started at 100%. So 300 plus 100 is 400. And this 8 was at 100. So now I can use that. Multiply 8 times 400 divided by, what is it? 32. And we got them all right. Let's move to number 4. What's different about number 4's table?
Decrease.
It's a percent decrease. So if I need to find a percent decrease, I've got to find the amount of change between these two numbers. Fellas, do you know how to do that? The amount of change, what is the amount of change between 12.6 and 4.2? I've already worked it, I'm waiting on y'all. 8.4 is the amount of change. What is my original amount? 12.6. I divide those two, and what is my percent decrease? 6 repeating? So how do I change that to a percent? Multiply by 100 or bounce the decimal back twice. What percent am I at?
66.6 repeating.
I don't see that as an option. What is the option?
66.2.
That means the same thing. The next one says 8 is my original. I have a percent decrease of 25%. So is my number going to be smaller or larger than 8?
Smaller.
Smaller. So is 8 my part or my whole?
Whole.
My whole, since it's going to be the larger number. And then it says it's decreasing 25%. Well, it was at 100, so where's it going to?
75.
75 out of 100. It went down 25. So I use that to solve. 8 times 75 divided by 100, and you say it is 6 points? Is 6 one of our options?
Yes.
Yep. Last one in the box. I have an original. My new is 2, and I had a percent decrease of 75% to get to 2. Is my number going to be larger than 2 or smaller than 2?
Larger.
Larger. So is 2 my part or my whole?
Part.
2 is my part. Not sure what my whole is. I started at 100% and they said we went down 75%. So where am I? 25%. Now I have a proportion to solve. And 8. 8 would be correct.
Wait, can you do that over again?
2 was my part. I knew the number was going to be larger than that. So that other number is going to be my whole.
So you do it.
It's a percent decrease. Percent decrease is always a whole part of 100. They said we're decreasing 75%. So 100 minus 75, I'm at
So you do
20.
100 times 2 equals 200, then you do 200 and you run back 25. Woo. We in business.
Okay. Last problem, 5. Says Haley has a big project due. On the project, she can earn a total score of 110% if she does extra credit. If she gets a score of 100%, she will earn 400 out of 400 points. Draw a tape diagram or percent bar showing how many points she can earn to get various percent scores. So, I'm going to show my 100%. And if she scored 100%, how many points did she get? It says 400. But she has a chance of scoring 110%. Because she could have some extra credit. So I need to know how many total points that would be. So basically I need to know what is 10% of 100. What is 10% of 400? 40. How'd I get that? I bounced the decimal over 1. My 10% trick. So how many points would 110% be out of?
440.
440 points. And that's what they were wanting. Your homework is problem 6 and 7. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Peace out, home dogs.
Yeah.